Greetings. It is August the 20th, and we're back in the studio. It's a rainy day, and I haven't been doing much work on the boat. I've been pretty busy rounding out the summer and buying school clothes and marketing for work. And so I've just resorted to solving some design problems this week. I was going to work on the boat today, but it rained. We had a rain out, and I still haven't gotten the roof on it yet. So I thought I would, one, say thank you very much to those of you who gave comments about the previous video, and I wanted to answer some of those questions in this video. And so instead of having a picture of random designs up when I started the video, I figured I'd have a picture of me doing what I'd love to be doing right now, which is sailing. This is actually a video, not a photo from a 103 class I took a couple of years ago with the Maryland School of Sailing and Seamanship. And I believe that's Captain Andy right there beside me. We were docking a Island Packet 32. I learned basic keelboat 101 on a Rainbow 24 that I love to sail at the Annapolis School. And then for 103 and the other classes, I wanted to do a heavier cruising boat. So I went with the Maryland School, not just for their boats, but because it's actually, in my opinion, a better school. One of the best schools, I believe. And so they have the heavier island packets because that's what I plan to have, a heavier displacement boat. And really, really good training there. So at any rate, back down memory lane. And so, if you notice, the audio sounds a little bit better today. I have upgraded my headset to this, to a Logitech H600. I got them from Best Buy today for about 46 bucks, or was it 49 bucks? They're pretty good. So the sound quality sounds good to me, and hopefully you'll recognize the difference as well. None of that humming and so forth as before. Okay, so where do we go from here? I wanted to show you guys something else. Okay, somebody asked me, well, what's the name of the program that I use? And it is AutoSketch 10. It's made by Autodesk. Autodesk is the company that makes Revit and the other programs that people are familiar with, like AutoCAD and such. And so I buy my programs directly from Autodesk. I buy them from Autodesk, one, because I'm in the business, and the service is good there, and I've been buying them from Autodesk. My earlier training was in design. I initially was a draftsman working for engineering and architectural firms before I went to university to get my degree. And so at any rate, I love Autodesk products, and so I buy mine from Autodesk directly, or you can buy yours from any of these other outlets. The service might not be as good in terms of answering questions and online help, but if you're not doing this professionally, you might not need all that stuff anyway. So the first part of this video, I wanted to just show you guys a little bit about that program. So here we go. I've got a drawing opened already, and this is what is this? This is the sail plan, I believe, for the boat. And when I changed the boat from 50 feet 7 inches to 54 feet, I haven't gone back and redone all of my drawings. So I had redone the sail plan for the new boat because that did change quite substantially. And so I needed to get a finished profile view of my boat. So I went with the sail plan as the base drawing, and I was going to make some changes to incorporate the underwater portion because in the sail plan I did not have that initially. So yeah, but I guess while we're on here, just so that you guys can see some of the numbers here, mainsail 540, staysail 190, the jib 440, and the Genoa at 130% would be 770 square feet. So downwind, could have a setup with the Genoa, which will be on a furler. So this could be furled in a little bit, but that maximum with the Genoa and the mainsail, at a little bit over 1,200 square feet. should be awesome to push the boat. And if we want to add a staysail or go to an ASIM, which could be whatever the hell I want to pay in terms of a kite or a spinnaker or something like that. So we should have a pretty good sail plan to push this boat along at 36,000 pounds or 18 tons, and using, the formula of basically 100 square foot oh, no, I'm sorry, 90 to 80 square foot of sail plan for every ton, within a good ratio for that. And using that, I believe Eric DeJong said I should be able to reach pretty easily 10 knots while cruising. So, just to show you something about the plan. So, it has, or the program rather, it has some pretty simple features to it. And I'll try to drag those into the box. If you know how to draw, you really don't draw stuff. You really just kind of add on to what you've already had. So, for instance, when I wanted to find the bottom elevation of my boat, I simply went to the waterline. I clicked this here, which it doesn't show up with what it is, but it basically gives me an offset. So I said I wanted, oh, this is actually incorrect. I needed 5 feet 6 inches as an offset from the waterline, and I just went to the waterline, and it gave me another line below, and that's where the bottom of my keel should be. So my drawing is incorrect. So I need to lower that down to there. Interesting. Glad you guys caught that. So delete that and move on. So anyway, at any rate, pretty easy other functions in terms of selecting. If I wanted to grab a line, you just click on it. If I wanted to grab multiple lines, you hold down the shift button and click on those lines. You zoom in to grab something even smaller and zoom out. Let's come over here, grab that, and then if you'd like, you can press shift and arrow down, and it'll move what you have down to where you need it to be, and voila. But it's a pretty simple program to use if you're used to drawing and those types of things. So that is a little about that. Let's go back to the hull lines. And of course, it's got layers. I've got crazy layers on the hull lines. So basically here, and you can see this, I've got a layer for every frame or every rib in the boat. And so currently this is frame 5. So it shows you the outer hull, the framing used. I didn't put the floor in or the sole framing. The sole framing changes depending upon where we are in the boat. But at every location here, there would be a beam coming across to tie the two pieces of the two ribs together around the keelson. And so, okay, well, actually, this is a good point. This is frame 5. So frame 5 is the beginning of the bulkhead, the watertight bulkhead that I told you guys about. That would be the beginning of the forward stateroom or forward cabin. And that distance, let's say I want to get a horizontal distance, so I can take it from any place and get that horizontal distance on the X-plane. So 3.484. So basically at this location, it's about 6 feet 7 some odd inches. No, 6 feet 9 inches across, and that's important for me because the bed I wanted to use, which is a king size bed, is about 6 feet across. So that's why it's important for me at this location to be able to have this bulkhead and to have at least that much width in the king room for that bed. And even though this is pretty low, the bed will be on a platform, so the bed's probably going to be up here somewhere. And once you include the framing for the bed and a little bit of head space in the front of it for a little shelf, that pushes it a little bit further into the cabin, so I should have good clearance there. But what I messed up with the last time was in thinking about the tunnel for the is this the plan? Oh my God, didn't open it up again. When thinking about the tunnel for the what is it called? The thing everybody wants me not to use. The bow thruster. When thinking about the bow thruster, I had mistakenly said that um, putting it putting it behind this bulkhead would mean the tunnel would be, crazy long. When actually I forgot at the bottom of the boat, of course, it tapers to much smaller. So if I were to have this bow thruster tube on the other side of this bulkhead, that um, tube would only be roughly 4 feet long. So there goes there goes that. I actually could put that on the other side of that bulkhead without a big problem. The only reason I didn't want to put the bow thruster tunnel or tube on the other side of this bulkhead is that I didn't want any holes in my boat on this side of this wall, or at least not potentially this large of a hole on this side of the boat. There are ways I could mitigate that. I could put the bow thruster housing or access. I could build up basically a box around it and make the box watertight, which then if there was any leak here, it would only leak to the water line, which of course is right here, and then the leak would stop and it would not flood the entire boat. If I did that, of course the master cabin is here and the bunk is over top of that, so that may make the bunk a little bit more elevated. But these are all the kinds of decisions that go into boat design, or really design of anything. One object always impacts another. Another viewer talked about this weep hole and asked me if this weep hole would be here, and I may want to consider putting, instead of having the weep hole go to the exterior of the boat, to have the weep hole actually just go down to the sump and to pump the water out when it reached a certain level. That's an idea. That's a really good idea. I just really did not want any. I know it's relatively impossible to have a dry bilge, but I really want to try to have a dry bilge. I mean, there's no reason why that's not really possible with the way I'm building this boat. Again, with the monocoat, even though there's wood on the front, it still will be sealed with a couple layers of epoxy and fiberglass, and even on the underside I'm thinking about using a little bit of Kevlar or carbon fiber, just to a little bit added protection there. But that is an idea, putting the weep hole so that the water actually goes down into the bilge and then is easily pumped out. So that may be an option to do there. So thank you very much to the viewer that talked about that. The other suggestion was to make my bow a little beefier. Doing that kind of, it's not a redesign, but see right here, I'm asking for 3 inches. The most I would make that is probably 5 inches wide, and it would taper down to about, I guess, 2 to 2.5 inches at the waterline. I kind of thought about it, and this point right here at the waterline is pretty tall. This bow off the waterline is, I believe, 7 feet 6 inches, and so it would look really wimpy to have like an 1.5 to 2 inch reveal of the bow of the boat all the way up. I would guess if I started at 2.5 inches at the bottom, which is, like a 2x3 actually, and tapered up to about 5 inches at the top, that would probably give it a more substantial look and would fit the stature of this huge boat. That's like seeing me, a big tall 6'7" guy who only wore like a size 10 shoe. I would look kind of crazy with small feet. So that, again, I think David made that suggestion, and so I may do that, and that shouldn't cause any problem. The one thing I didn't really consider, I did consider a little bit, but the reefing gear, or the furlers, are actually tacked here, and I did not consider that. Let's see what that distance is from here, and let me turn on, oops, nope, let's do it again. I love this measuring tool. You can make it connect to different aspects of things, the center line, the end point, the midpoints. Let's see, so here it's 2.5 feet apart. So let's go back to the bow locker design, and I want to see where 2.5 feet are. So I would go to the offset, put in 2.5, enter, and that tells me right there where that center line is. This is where the jib would be. The jib stay would tack down here, which still works out. And actually, somebody else also mentioned about this line or having this bow roller be at an angle, and I had thought about that as well, and I actually had a drawing where I did that, and that's how it would do that. But that just looks crazy. Another idea I thought about was, instead of angling it, was to have a snatch block here that would, maybe I just need to move the Samson post. There's just a lot to consider, and this is the hard part about fitting on a boat. But anyway, I was talking about a snatch block that would be here, and primarily I was only thinking about using this bow roller for maybe moorings, or also for a spare anchor at very not very often. So maybe I have a connection point where a snatch block connects to the Samson post at some point. Maybe I do move the Samson post a little bit further up, and I don't think you're seeing any of this because the screen is out. How come I can't move the screen? There we go. Maybe I move the Samson post up a little bit, and that way I can put a snatch block on the deck that would have a simple, a simple block on it that the line could come from here and come to here. Maybe this would only be rope rode, and not chain. But these are all considerations again when fitting out a boat. So maybe I will make some type of notation here that tells me that this is where I have a stay. I guess I don't know what you call that stay. I guess it would just be a jib stay. So let's make that hairline. And what's the nomenclature I'm using? The convention. I'm going to make this, I guess I better make it red. Let's make this line also a hairline, and let's limit it to about 6 inches. So I'm going to limit it by, oh, that's 6 inches? That can't be 6 inches. Let's move that back down so you can see what I'm doing. So again, offset. Yeah, that's 6 inches. Gee, that's way up there. Okay, let's make it 3 inches. There. Then we cut it or trim it. Then we delete the lines we used. And yeah, so that'll be enough here. Let me just copy this text, copy it, and then I will paste it here. Click on it, and we don't have a Samson post. We have the jib stay. And let's go ahead and we'll put a leader to it. Is that where I want that? Does that look right? I think I'm going to put this below it. I know. I love design. It's really fun. At any rate. So then I will change it to black. Get this here. Okay, it's on. There's an easier way to do this, but I just love doing my leaders by hand. Oh, wrong line. I need this to be a solid line and not a center line. All right, so there we go. Alrighty, that's a little bit of, I guess, Design 101. Not that you needed it, but I thought I would share from some of the great comments previously. So I may make this a little bit wider just because it may look kind of wimpy. Also may delete the weep hole so that we can do this. And other than that, I think those were the really. Oh, by the way, also, I misspoke last time. There's no drywall in this boat. I had said drywall just because I was talking and not thinking, but this bulkhead here is 2 layers of, again, of 3/4 inch marine grade plywood, 2 inches of rigid insulation, and then another layer of plywood here. I don't think this layer is necessarily, or this layer here is going to be necessarily watertight. It's really just there so that I can have something to nail to for things that I need to do in this bulkhead, like putting these shelves up and also hanging things from the back side of that bulkhead. You don't really want to screw into the rigid insulation. So the watertight bulkhead is really these 2 lines here. But maybe I will tab and epoxy it in when it comes down to it. So I guess that is it for today's video. I hope to have some video for you next week when I resume boat building. I've got a really busy weekend. My fraternity, we're having a friends and family cookout that I'm the committee chairperson for. So I will be, well, not myself, but we'll be cooking food for the community. It's a free cookout for a couple of 100 people in one of the state parks here local to Maryland. So I hope you're enjoying the end of your summer. Get out, get on the water, have fun, and let's do a little more of this sailing. Until next time, peace and blessings.
Just hold it like this.